sell them on this Saturday. Same price, you're gonna fix them to your window as always, and they'll be good if you don't have one for this year. This is good from purchase date through the end of next year.
Fantastic.
It's $15, isn't it?
Correct.
15? $15, and they only take checks, so don't bring cash. All right. Okay.
I just wanted to ask Chairman Pires, did you have anything you wanted to say about the hazardous waste collection day from last Saturday?
Well, I consider it to be a great success. Everybody seemed to be pretty happy.
Nice. I heard the same thing.
While I was there, a lot of people had oil.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a few propane tanks, but while there, I made the decision not to charge anybody anything.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody got everything free.
Nice.
So
That's fantastic.
How many people came through, do you know?
I didn't keep count, but it was probably over 100. I'll know better when we get our,
Yeah, that's good.
feels like 100. I mean, but
Keep
it
all
was a
that.
busy day.
Mm-hmm.
I think busier than last time.
Good.
So I think it was good.
Well, thank you and the board for setting that up.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
First order of old business is the Dighton Road Advisory Finance Committee membership.
Thank you.
So we have a letter from the superintendent of schools, and there is a advisory finance committee for the district, and they require 2 members from each town shall be members of the local finance committee, and then there is 1 other member that doesn't have to be. So what have we done? We have Nancy
Selectman
Goulart is on the
typically has been
committee,
on that, yep.
and then we're waiting to hear from, that's it for now, so.
She's our one member, right?
Okay,
Okay.
okay. So that, we're not gonna make a decision on that, but just to advise everybody where we're at. Good. Okay, we have an approved liquor license for Manniac Incorporated, who has bought the property up where Classic Barbershop and
The Mount Hope.
Mount Hope Liquors is. So, this is from the, it's a license for alcoholic beverages. Hereby grants a licensing board, hereby grants a retail packaged goods store, all kinds of alcoholic beverages not to be drunk on the premises, to Manniac Incorporated Mount Hope Liquors, 102 Lincoln Ave. So, we need to sign this, so I guess we need a motion first to accept it.
Gary, how does the state get involved in this now? Do you remember, Tom?
It has been approved by the state.
They've already,
And
ABCC?
that's how it
this,
got to
yeah,
us.
this is the approval.
October
from them.
25th.
Okay.
Goes to them first.
Okay, very good. Mr. Chairman, I move that that the board vote to sign final approval of the transfer license for Manniac Incorporated, formerly Mount Hope Liquors.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to new business. The issue that we've talked about, and it's actually came up at town meeting, like someone asked it, is lettering of town vehicles. And this has to do, we have a lot of town vehicles, but we have a veterans van, and we have a sedan that's used by the building commissioner. So I think the proposal was to have the emblem, I think the one that is on the superintendent of highways,
That's a nice one.
that's a nice one, so.
Are they not able to do the town seal anymore? Selectman Goulart, didn't they used to for lettering?
No, the town seal is on the vehicles, as far as I know, unless somebody chose not to have it put on.
Is that what
Well-
Mr. Ferry's is as well?
His
thought it was a little
his
different.
is a little different, the town seal is on there, but,
Mhm.
I
so,
think most of the highway department vehicles have the town seal.
They have something.
yeah, they have something.
It says town of Dighton.
So the question here is, do we want to put the emblem that's on the Mr. Ferry's truck on these 2 vehicles?
My one question regarding that simply and pertaining to the veterans vehicle is, I know there could be some privacy concerns with having it.
I
So-
talked to Don Hearsay about it, and
Okay.
he doesn't have any concern.
If it just says Town of Dighton, it doesn't have to say Veteran Services.
No,
Good point. Mhm.
yeah, so. Okay, somebody want to make a motion?
Sure. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to letter the building department sedan as well as the veterans van,
Identifying them as town vehicles.
identifying as town vehicles.
Second.
Any further discussion? If none, all in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Okay, we have appointment to the Community Preservation Committee, an at-large member.
Thank you, Ms. Brady.
This is an appointment of Joseph Tamarican. Tamarkin, excuse me, to the Community Preservation Committee. He also happens to be a member of the Open Space Committee. So he's requested to be on that committee, the Community Preservation Committee, and so.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we appoint Joseph Tamarkin to the Community Preservation Committee as an at-large member.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving right along. Next one is a procedure for raising and lowering the flag, the American flag in town. And we're not ready to make a decision on this, but I just want to
Sure.
kind of put it out there because, you know, a lot of veterans in particular, I think, have concerns that, that the flag gets lowered for,
No, go ahead, I just didn't sign that.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
That the flag gets lowered for town officials that aren't veterans or they're, you know, the town just makes the decision. Traditionally, the President of the United States and the governor can order flags flown at half-staff for various people. And, you know, there's a real protocol for that, and there's a procedure, and it states, you know, what officials and how long it's lowered for. However, the state also gives local jurisdictions the ability to local jurisdictions to make a decision when it should be flown for local people. The decision fly, I'm just going to read it, the procedure. The decision to fly flags at half-staff falls to the chief executive officer of any jurisdiction, public or private, and that would be us. So, I don't know how a lot of other people feel, but we'd like to get your input. If anybody's watching, you want to email us or call us or whatever. Because another suggestion that I heard, which doesn't sound too bad, instead of lowering the American flag to half-staff, we have a town flag, which would be similar to this, that we would hoist under the American flag with a black ribbon or a black banner on it to recognize town officials. That we would also have a protocol and a clear policy about who that would apply to and how long it would be flown. So if anybody has any feelings about that, we'd love to hear your ideas, and at some point we will discuss it further and make a decision on where we want to go.
Mr. Chairman, all I have to say about the flag code is, and this is my only input, I'm not giving my opinion either way. I do think if we're not going to follow the U.S. flag code, then we should definitely develop a clear
Oh,
policy.
absolutely. We need a policy.
In that instance, if
Right.
that's what we're going to do.
Whatever we decide to do, we need to have a policy. Of either we're going to do it or we're not going to do it, and if we are going to do it, who we do it for and how long it stays at half-staff. So. Okay, so we'll come back to that at a future meeting. Okay, award a bid for testing inspection service for the Dighton Police Station.
Thank you.
So a bid went out to get testing inspection services for the Dighton Police Station that's being constructed. And this concerns all kinds of testing: soils, masonry, structural steel, wood, air barriers, concrete. So it went out to bid. There was only 2 bidders. Third bidder didn't come in with anything because they didn't want to do it. So of the 2 bids, we have one that came in at, get to the bottom line here, $9,596.00. And we have another, that was from UTS of Massachusetts Incorporated. And the other one came in from Briggs Engineering and Testing, and that came in at a cost of $11,654.00. So it's been reviewed by the project manager on the job and by the chairman of the committee. So unless we have reason to do otherwise, I would entertain a motion to award it to the lowest bidder.
Isn't this part of the regular contract? Why are we getting involved in this?
I haven't read the contract, so it
What?
can be done either way. It's
Well,
either inclusive or exclusive of the contract with
Yeah.
OPM
Yeah,
and architect. Obviously, in this case, it must be
It's exclusive.
it was, right.
Except that I believe this will fall within the total amount approved by the taxpayers for this project, so it's got to be,
It will,
It
yeah,
will.
it will.
it'll be paid from that money then, is what I'm saying.
Yes, yep.
Okay.
TS is also a no company.
Yeah.
They're usually the industry standard.
Right.
No,
Well,
both
Jason.
of us.
Yeah, they use them all the time, very reputable.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we award the contract to provide testing and inspection services for the new Dighton Police Station Communication Center to UTS in Massachusetts at the total bid price of $9,596.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Great, I'll sign that later. While we're talking about the police station, the groundbreaking was originally scheduled for, I guess, next week. It's been moved off. We're gonna have it on November 21st at 9 o'clock in the morning. It'll be over at the site. And-
1458 Somerset Ave.
And in the next few weeks, the construction company will be over there, putting up fences and kind of leveling it, so when we go over there to do the groundbreaking, we won't be walking in mud and tripping on rocks and trees and all that kind of stuff, so. Okay, so put that in your calendar. Okay.
We gotta make sure that Mike Joyce at the power plant knows and gets invited.
Yeah, I think, did we invite him today when he came by?
I think it was yesterday, we may not have known.
Okay, so we just have to invite him, right, thanks. Okay, waiver, next item is waiver workers' comp insurance for independent snowplow drivers for 2017 and 2018. We have 5 snowplow drivers, and these are independent, people that, have a pickup truck or whatever and want to plow snow for us. So what we have done in the past is we've waived the requirement that they carry their own workers' compensation. So they've all requested a waiver, and I think we can probably do them as a group. The first one is Roger Sisson, Jr., lives on Center Street in Dighton. The second one is Gregory Mendez, and he doesn't have an address, but I know he's from Dighton. Kevin Raposa, from Somerset. Samuel Pine, who lives in North Dighton, or the company's in North Dighton. And the last one is Michael McDonald, doesn't have an address. So,
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to grant the waiver of workman's compensation insurance for the 5 independent snowplow drivers for the 2017-2018 season.
Second.
okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Got a lot of snowplow stuff to do tonight. The next item is the establish minimum insurance requirements for snowplow drivers for the 2017-2018 season. Did Tom give us, Mr. Ferry give us?
He did.
Thank you. Can you move that?
Sorry.
2 sheets? Ooh. It's the rate.
These are the rates, so this is the next one.
Okay, so this is from to Tom Ferry from the Board of Selectmen. This was based on his recommendation to require the minimum assurance of $100,000, $300,000 for snowplow drivers. This is liability insurance on their vehicles. So if, okay,
I'll make the motion to require liability insurance on the part of independent plow drivers at the rate of 100,000/300,000 coverage.
Second.
okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. We will send this to Mr. Ferry, and he'll notify the drivers. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the established rates for the snowplow drivers, and I believe these are the same rates that we had last year. His proposal is that we establish equipment rates for the snowplow season as follows. 4x4 pickup truck with less than 8-foot plow, smaller than a 1-ton truck, $65 an hour. A 1-ton truck with 8-foot plow or larger, $75 an hour. Trucks 25,000 to 26,000 pounds, $75. And 6-wheel trucks over 26,000 pounds, $85 an hour. And then front-end loaders, 3-yard bucket, $110 per hour.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we vote to approve the rates as recommended by Mr. Ferry.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. You know, you assume we're gonna be done with all of our business. We have a resignation from one of our employees.
Come back to that one. Can't find it at the moment.
Okay, we can go back to it. We have a road opening permit for 641 Park Street to replace gas
Thank you.
service.
Sure. Dated November 8th, 2017, it says, "Permission is hereby granted for a road cut at the following location with all necessary appurtenances. 641 Park Street, North Dighton, Mass. 02764, to replace gas service. Whenever possible, pipes are to be jetted under the roadway. Any unsuitable material will be replaced with gravel and 2 layers of 2-inch compacted asphalt for a total of 4 inches of asphalt. All gravel to be compacted in 12-inch layers. The road is to be placed back in the same or better condition as when the project was started. Highway superintendent must be notified within 72 hours of work." Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to grant the road opening permit for 641 Park Street to replace gas service.
Friendly amendment to Columbia Gas.
To Columbia Gas, correct.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, we have the letter.
Okay, we go back to the resignation letter. We have a resignation letter from Heidi Bach, who is the office manager for the planning department. I'm going to read it to you. Dear Planning Board members, Selectmen, and Superintendent, I am writing to officially tender my resignation from the town of Dighton as Administrative Assistant to the Planning Board, Clerk to the Highway Department, and all appointed positions. My final day will be December 1st, 2017. I appreciate the opportunities I've been given during my time with the town of Dighton, as well as your professional guidance and support. If I can assist with the transition, please let me know. Regards, Heidi Bach.
What was the final day again?
December 1st. I just want to comment, Heidi is, I think she's been with the town for about 15 years. She does a tremendous job down in the planning office and knows a lot of stuff. So we will hate to see her go, but that's a personal decision she's made, and we wish her the very best.
Yes, I'd just like to echo those sentiments. Heidi, I will sincerely miss going down to the planning office. You were a wealth of knowledge. I'd say probably one of the top 2 people besides Selectman Goulart who I've been fortunate to learn from since I joined the Board of Selectmen. So you will be dearly missed every single day.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that we accept the resignation of Heidi Bach with appreciation and thanks.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll talk more, Heidi.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we have a contract for the,
We have the chairwoman and Dr. Azar here.
oh, sorry, I didn't see that.
They snuck
Excuse me. Why don't you come on up?
Over here.
Yeah, come on, why don't you come over here? I'm sorry. I didn't see you walking.
We don't have enough chairs.
Apologies.
We'll even let you use the podium.
So I think everybody probably in the room is aware that Rehoboth had a special town meeting Monday, and they did not vote to approve the new roof on the high school. So what I've done is we've asked Dr. Azar and Mrs. Cooper, the chairman of the school committee, to come and just kind of bring us up to date on what's going on with that, so that we can all be aware. A lot of stuff out there that's not true, and I want to clear all that up. So with that, I'll turn it over to you. Or you.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting us tonight.
To take the mic and put it just a little closer so they can get the recording.
So we appreciate the extension of the invite from Jack to be here, to share just some thoughts that we have as well about what transpired most recently at the Rehoboth town meeting. Kathy obviously was there. We have several members in the crowd that were there as well. And I think the biggest concern that folks have is that the roof warrant article was tabled. Some good news is that it was tabled for further, to look at it further. Further consideration. And one of the things that came out at the meeting was that one of the concerns from the Rehoboth side, the Finance Committee, had to do with, in the event that it did pass town meeting, it would be put out for a special election. And the town had just had a special election for the Senator Timilty spot. And then there was another election that they had on June 27th, which was the Rehoboth roof for Palmer River that was passed. Also the windows at Beckwith. So it's not as though they don't want to see things improved. I mean, not to bring up a sore spot to the Rehoboth folks, but they've been trying to get a municipal complex going, and to no avail. It's failed several times. But nevertheless, back on June 27th, we did have a special election, another one, and the schools did prevail in that election, the two questions, as we mentioned before. And the other silver lining in the most recent Rehoboth meeting that we attended was that they did vote for the fiber to pay for it out of their stabilization fund, which was also a very positive thing that came out of the meeting, which would lead one to believe that the infrastructure of our schools, with Dighton Middle School, Dighton Elementary School, and the two Rehoboth schools, Palmer River coming up next, to put a roof on the four buildings. And then the natural ascension would be to put a roof on the high school, because we have invested millions of dollars in all five buildings. So naturally, you would think that a roof would make sense. We've been through this before on the Rehoboth side, as you don't know. 5 years ago, 4 years ago, thereabouts. On the Rehoboth side, it didn't pass by just a handful of votes, maybe 3, 4, 5, 7, whatever it might have been. So we thought that this would have been a pretty easy situation where a town, very seldom would a town meeting does something not go out to the voters. However, we were prepared. Unfortunately, we weren't prepared for the motion that tabled it, which, as you know, stifles all discussion. So both Kathy and myself, we had Catherine Antonellis there as well, our business manager for the district. We had David Nappy, our facilities manager, and we had Ryan McGonigal, our IT director. Those three, coupled with the two of us, we were ready to present to the Rehoboth voters why we need a roof on the high school. And there's not much more to say, except for as they were going through the motion to table, there was no question. No one questioned about whether or not the high school needed a roof. But then it really came down to whether or not they wanted a secondary election for that. So That's pretty much what happened.
So what's the time frame now for Rehoboth?
I believe that they talked about going back out. First, they had the motion to further consider it in April. Then they changed it to further consider it in the spring, and then one of them got up and said, like, let's not limit it to the spring, because it actually probably would be January. So then they took that off of it and just did table it to reconsider. So, or table for further consideration was the exact language for it. So I believe that it would be towards January, there would be another special town meeting in January, and then that would put it on the right timing to go on the April ballot, where they're already holding an election, and it would be included on that.
So our recommendation going forward would be for our school committee to resubmit it ASAP to the Board of Select people on the Rehoboth side, get another town meeting sometime around January, February, which then would lay the groundwork for it to be on the April 2nd ballot.
Are they gonna bring the public building complex forward again?
If they're smart, they will. So I really don't know what they plan to do. We had hoped that it would have been on the June 27th vote, but for whatever reasons, it didn't end up there.
Yeah, they went separately. So they did a municipal building election first, and then we did the roof for Palmer River and the windows for Palmer River and Beckwith after. And theirs had failed, and then ours passed, and then they had another election with the Timilty seat opening up, and then now it would be another election, and they wanted to avoid having to do a fund transfer at this special town meeting in order to pay for the election for the high school roof
Yeah.
You're
also.
talking a debt exclusion vote,
Yeah.
basically.
So based on tabling the roof vote, they then adjusted the other amounts for elections that they were having to transfer as part of the special town meeting after they tabled it.
I won't
which was-
tell Rehoboth how to run a town meeting, but I will tell you historically what happened in Dighton a number of years ago. There was a controversial motion on the warrant, and when the moderator called for that motion, somebody got up and immediately moved to table, and it was seconded. And the moderator said it's a non-discussable. And it was voted, it was tabled. After the meeting ended, town council approached the moderator and said that the moderator had within his power to not accept the first motion to table if it was a really important motion. The moderator would say, I will not accept a motion to table yet. As a matter of fact, this happened again at our town meeting in a couple of weeks ago, that the moderator can
this
not
latitude.
accept it. Now, which means, obviously, it can come up again, but the feeling was on the part of town council that it was a very important article and should have had some discussion. And then maybe the explanation you're talking about would have come out as the reason why they were going to move to table it later in. As I said, this did happen again. Somebody immediately got up to make the motion, and this time our moderator said, I'm going to hold off accepting that motion. And then it got moved and seconded, there was discussion, and that's how it's happened. So I just mentioned that in passing because it's happened in Dighton a couple of times.
I have a question. So as I understand, based on what you said tonight, that it was tabled for further consideration, correct?
Yep.
I think what everyone is confused about is we see a problem, there's a need to fix the problem. What are they considering? I feel like I need the dots connected here. Wouldn't it have been easier to just vote on it that night instead of doing all this other stuff that's occurring? I mean, I'm literally asking because I don't understand what the thought process is
You would
behind it.
think, you would think so.
So I feel like now we've created a bunch of other or they've created a bunch of other obstacles and hoops to jump through when that was the vote and they could have voted it and resolved it that night. Am I missing?
No, you're preaching to the choir right now.
They would have taken the initial step, they would not have resolved it totally, because the initial step, assuming it
Correct.
passed, would then require the debt
Ballot,
exclusion ballot vote.
vote.
Yeah.
But it would have been the first step.
You know, the debt exclusion vote would have had to take place a certain number of days after
Exactly.
the town meeting. So it would have
Exactly.
required
A special
another
election.
election, special
Yes.
election.
Correct.
Which involves some
So-
expense, true.
Yeah,
Right.
so-
But I also think that the longer it takes to address the leak in the roof, we all know the more expensive it gets. So I just feel like in the long run, there's probably not any money being saved. Personal opinion, but.
But it's not, that's
I
not
know
our,
it's not our
it's not our
decision.
decision to make,
Correct.
so it's
Well,
really,
We
you
know
but
what decision we would have made had we been in control.
yeah, right, but we're not.
Same here.
Yeah, I just want to make a
Glenn,
comment.
Glenn, we stand up and tell us who you are and your address.
Gaytan, 270 Hillcrest Drive. I just want to make a comment, no disrespect to Dr. Azar and Ms. Cooper, but, I know you guys get across the board and go home, but as a parent here, and as, 4 years ago, we saw what happened, and has been sitting on this committee and hearing the negative attacks that come from the 15 or so people in Rehoboth that, in my opinion, drive the politics in that town. I don't buy it. They're gonna say they wanna do it to April, but yet we had the person from their finance committee that got the motion, not to make the motion to table. If you understand the politics of his reasoning, saying they don't support the roof because of the capital breakdown, and they wanna see it changed in the regional agreement. And many of us have been working for 3 years on this regional agreement, and you've heard Nancy, they said they won't support any amendment to the regional agreement until a statutory method is.
But that's, statutory is operating, it's not capital.
Right, but.
Capital is a different formula.
Right, but the finance committee is gonna hold hostage where George's point when he made the motion to table, he said the capital formula right now, as you know, is based on enrollment and the wealth factor. So those are the 50-50 split, and they want.
No, that's operating.
No, capital assessments based on 50% enrollment combined with 50% equalization value.
Wait, that's exactly what I'm saying is different. The capital is based on the income.
Right.
The capital is based on equalized valuation and enrollment. The operating is based on
Statutory.
income. That's the statutory.
Right. So just to summarize, so what George's point, what he made is he said, when he made the motion to table, they won't support the roof until the capital formula is based strictly on enrollment. And it's a catch-22 because what he didn't tell the people that were at that meeting, they've also said they won't support an amendment to the regional agreement until the statutory method, there's an alternative
Operating
method.
is also changed.
So, this is where, and I've said it, we're gonna sit here like a bunch of fools, I was right on this one, and I told everyone, they were gonna make this motion to table at the meeting, because they were able to say, we didn't not support it, but it's not gonna get passed in April, because.
Well, I think we gotta be careful not to, not to speculate on what they're gonna do at their town meeting, because
Well-
we don't have any control over it.
Well, I'm going on what
I know you
their
are.
person to table, because the other thing to consider, if what he said was their finance committee won't support it until a different capital formula is in there. They can't have a different capital formula by April, because in order to get a different capital formula, you have a different agreement. So the long story short, then you have the other member on their finance committee 4 years ago that said, why would you put a new roof on a house when you're looking to divorce someone?
Yeah.
So it's,
But there's,
Can I ask you a question? I'm glad you're standing. Is the person who made, and I don't want to name, I just want to know, is the individual of the finance committee who made the motion to table the same individual who came here a couple months ago to speak to us about deregionalizing?
Yes.
Who prepared their own report unilaterally? Okay.
well, no, that was the husband, but no, it was a different, it's public information, so.
but, I think we need to be respectful of Rehoboth and their governmental process. So I don't want to disparage them, and I don't want to speculate on what they're going to do or not going to do. I know you guys are close to it and have seen stuff, but I think we have to give them.
No, well, I just want
Yeah.
the people of Dighton to know, because these same people will go to their selectmen and attack the school committee saying we're a bunch of whatever because we're strangling the town. And the problem is the people in Dighton are getting suffered. Last year, we killed our budget from the schools, cut our teachers and paras because Rehoboth couldn't afford it. But yet they spent 1-point-something million Monday night on new fire trucks and all festivities for a 350th
I
anniversary.
agree with you 100%, but I just think,
Right, but I
we
need,
have to-
people of Dighton need to know it, because the
Yeah.
parents, like we said, like someone I was just at parent-teacher conferences, and one of the kids was saying, one of the parents was saying their kids had buckets of water in the classrooms,
I've seen the videos.
And at some point, and the school is in Dighton, I hope Dighton's doing something to make sure, how's the mold air quality in that building? I just encourage as a parent and as others in this town, start questioning why we're allowing it to happen, I hope there's something that can be done, but
Just-
Leah Quinn, I'm a parent of a small child at Dighton Elementary School. My question is, we know that there's serious repairs that need to be made to the high school. What are we prepared to do when we get snow and God forbid something terrible happens? Because that's a safety issue.
Right.
So what are we gonna do in the meantime? Are we just gonna wait for something horrible to happen?
Well,
And then the outrage will then set in, and then who are we gonna point fingers at then? Because we know, based on videos, based on who's saying what, at what school committee meetings, there's serious damage going on in that school. So the fact that teachers, children, small children are enrolled in the preschool program there, that's alarming to me as a parent.
I-
So what are we gonna do?
Let me ask the building commissioner, so has the building been inspected for that kind of structural safety?
Hello, everyone. Yeah, we inspect that building at least once annually. We do periodic inspections throughout the year. I can tell you right now, basically what's happening with the roofs until we can replace them in earnest like we did with the other schools, is it's all Band-Aid work. However, I am a very proactive individual. I don't sit in my office, I'm out there in the community. When the roofs get to a point where I think the snow load is excessive, we shovel roofs many times in the past to make sure that we don't have any structural collapses. I can't give you an honest answer as to how we're gonna deal with this until we get the money appropriated to fix the roofs. We have a facilities manager now who tries to be extremely proactive to do what he can, but, you know, the school department, the school committee, they're only gonna throw so much money at this thing when they know it's all for naught, it all has to be replaced.
I think the question
And
right
on
now,
that
though,
too,
is,
I'm sorry, what about like mold? So if there's water damage, you can check to make sure everything's stable and that the roof is, you know, shoveled. But what have we done with the mold issue? I mean, with water, mildew,
To date, we've done nothing with it.
that's unacceptable. That's completely unacceptable. I don't know what parent would be okay with sending their child to a school thinking or not knowing what they're inhaling. Even the staff, unacceptable for our teachers, completely
I
unacceptable.
disagree.
I can tell you through my visual inspections, I've not seen any mold on any surfaces that are in a public way or classroom way, but I can't get every nook and cranny of that building.
let's let Dr. Azar address.
Anytime, to tell you, one of the biggest mold issues we have in our district is not even in Dighton, it's in Rehoboth. It's at Palmer River Elementary School. We have mold issues in some of those rooms that we have experts that go in and strip it down. They clean it out, the building folks there are on top of it. Quite frankly, we have had to close down a room at Palmer River because of the roof issues. At the high school, there are issues, not to that level yet.
Right.
So what our plan basically is what we've done the last 5 years, to be proactive with Jim, to be proactive with our facilities manager, to go into the classrooms where the leaks are, but what's happening on those roofs is that the leaks might be in one area, but the water travels. And then you can't see where the water's going until, something comes down or along those lines. But Dave Nappy, along with Catherine Antonellis, they are constantly looking, figuring out, what's the best modus operandi, and we have a very good relationship with the town as well. We have a very good relationship with the fire department as well, under those circumstances. We've had conversations, especially when all that snow was on the roofs. We were the only school district that actually closed the schools because of that until we had people come into the high school and to okay it structurally. Everyone was out for like a week or whatever, and we closed school. It was the day after vacation, I believe, and everybody, we got hit because, well, why don't you do it over vacation? It was like the night before, if you recall, and so we closed school. So we are more than prepared to do what we need to do. However, it's clear. We need a roof on the high school, like we needed a roof on the other 3 buildings. And then finally, the folks in Rehoboth saw that we needed a roof on Palmer River. And if you recall, maybe 5 years ago, they were ready to bulldoze Palmer River. And what we did was we structurally built the infrastructure to a point where that we save Palmer River. Now a roof's gonna go on it, new windows are going in on it, there's a new boiler system already in place. Point being is that we don't have to now on the Rehoboth side, and this is one of our selling points to the Rehoboth folks, we never had a chance to tell them because it was tabled, but basically what we're saying in effect is that Palmer River is good for the next 20 to 25 years. Roof, windows, boiler, structurally, turbines, everything's fine. So we don't have to spend 60 to 70 to 80 million dollars on a new elementary school. That is the same argument with the high school. Structurally, other than the roof, we're in a good place. Now, for the mere fact that they approved the fiber out of their stabilization, that also builds the building with the fiber and so on and so forth. So I feel very comfortable that the school committee will do the right thing. We'll send it back to the Board of Select people almost as soon as possible to get it back up and running, to get it under consideration like they said they would do on the floor. The gentleman who did put that forward, the table motion, he did try to connect it to the regional agreement, and everybody in that place pretty much thought that was really bizarre. The moderator pretty much excoriated him in front of everyone and said, that's not going to happen. So this might be just one person who's gone rogue, and we've seen it all, and I have no problem saying that, because we've been trying to work with them, with him particularly, on a day-to-day basis, but we share information, the information then becomes misinformation, and it's information we shared. So we see that, and we see it on social media, and before you know it, people start thinking that it's real. So I try not to get involved. However, some of my bosses and colleagues do monitor Facebook, and they do keep me abreast of what's out there. So in reference to your question, it's a very good one. You should be concerned. We're all concerned, but what we'll continue to do, and what Jim said, we are throwing real good money at something that is it's beneficial, obviously, for the moment. But once we get the roof, and the other calculation that we wanted to share, just to share with you folks, was that Rehoboth's portion of this roof was about $1.9 million thereabouts, which would basically mean, translated into taxes, that if you have a home valued at $350,000, you would pay an additional $26.17 for the entire year. Now you take that number and then put it, then someone might say, well, you just got, well, back in June, you just got a roof and windows. Well, you know how much that's going to cost on the same house? $48 for the whole year for a roof and windows. And then we also got security doors on June 27th as well. Mm-hmm. So we're talking $48 for a brand new roof on Palmer River, solidifying that building for the next 20 to 25 years. We're talking 26 and change for the high school roof to secure that building for the next 20 to 25 years. What more could you possibly ask for as a taxpayer when the school committee, the administration, is telling them for $80 a year, this is what you're going to get? So it's a difference between either you go to Starbucks or you go to Cumberland Farms. I go to Cumberland Farms for my coffee, 99 cents. Okay, all right, and before you know it, after 3 weeks, you've already made that money back. What more could you ask for from the gentleman in the front row? No less.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Sorry.
One other thing to mention too is that with the time frame of replacing a roof, it wouldn't have been done during the winter right now anyway. It still would have been once the weather got better.
Yeah.
So hopefully, whether it's like now the special town meeting that's this week or January, hopefully it still is within the time frame of where it wouldn't have really impacted the timing of when it was actually done.
The concern is, it should have been done 4 years ago, you know?
Exactly.
And we've had lucky winters, pretty much, other than 2-3 years ago,
2013.
but what happens safety-wise, that's my concern. I don't even have children enrolled in that school. I don't know how every parent from Dighton, Rehoboth is not here tonight. I'm sick to my stomach over it. You saw what happened in Bridgewater at the elementary school there. They had to set up classrooms in the high school, in the gymnasium. I mean, That's a learning environment when you're stuffing kids into other schools or shuttling them to other schools because these measures weren't met years ago. You know, I'm a hairdresser. The state comes in and we're not to sanitation code, guess what? We're shut down. I don't understand what is in place for god-awful something happening. That's my question. What are the safety measures? If kids are in classrooms videoing buckets of water dripping, what happens when that water goes into an electrical socket and they plug something in? I don't understand how that's even a safe classroom. I mean, I know they're in high school, but
Well,
Nothing's
typically
wrong.
it's not. We do move them out of those classrooms,
I mean,
typically.
so is that the plan? We're just gonna keep shifting classrooms?
But we really have no choice right
That's not
now.
Dayton's
That's
plan.
unacceptable. So I guess what needs to happen is,
Yeah.
what do we do as a town
Right.
on the Dighton side to get this ball rolling
If
faster?
I could,
Talk to your
please.
friends.
Sitting in the front row is the Dighton Board of Health. Previously, I was on that board and was chairman. And I'm going to ask Mr. Pius, the chairman, to speak. But I will tell you this. I've served with Mr. Pius, both as a member and as a chairperson, working with the building commissioner. The Dighton Board of Health, working with the building commissioner, is not going to let that turn into one big infested place with mold and everything else. And I can tell you that from history. I can tell you that's how Dighton operates, regardless if it's even not even a school project. That's how they operate. But Mr. Pius, if you wish to comment on the situation at the regional high school, he's new as far as the chairman, but he's got a lot of experience on that board.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'll do it. Well, it's kind of rather unexpected, but we as a Board of Health are always on top of mostly everything that happens within the town. After sitting here for this last 10 minutes, I'm pretty comfortable with the fact that Dr. Azar and the school committee and the associates in the building are right on top of this also. It's not like nothing is being done. Something is being done, they're monitoring. And we, as a Board of Health, are willing to assist any way we can, but if it becomes serious enough, it's really kind of our jurisdiction. It becomes a state matter. And I'm pretty confident that I think as far as the intervention goes, everything is being done that can be done. You know, I'm not sure, do you do periodic air quality tests and mold and all? So whatever could be done is being done. And, you know, I would put a little faith in the administration and, you know, if we felt, and including the commissioner, we've shut the building down before, we've shut other schools down before, and we don't have a problem doing that if it's for the safety of the children, so I'm disappointed. I listened to this 10 years ago, I think, when I was on the Board of Selectmen, and it's still ongoing, and it's kind of unfortunate, but you know, it's, myself, it becomes a matter of priority. You know, I read that it would cost $10,000 for another town meeting. Well, where is the priority when it comes to someone's life? There's no dollar amount really. But I get your point now about nothing could be done anyway. I think January is right around the corner. It's only 2 months away. And if nothing transpires during that time, then I think you really all have a right to be outraged. And then we can all really get involved. But as for right now, I think they're doing everything they can do, so. But anyway, I don't have children there anymore. I went through there many, many years ago. Too many, actually, Mrs. Goulart was the first graduating class out of there. And,
I had a roof then.
that was back in 19...
She was fortunate. Exactly.
If I'd have known you were gonna do that, Tom, I wouldn't have called on you.
Terry?
Hi, I'm Janice Terry, and probably most of you know I'm on the Regional School Committee. I think at this point, the frustration that we all feel is we've been looking at this, talking about it, hearing about it, living with it for over 3 years. The disappointing part is Dighton steps up to the plate, agrees to fund their portion of it, goes to the Rehoboth side, and they say, no, not yet. Well, 3 years later, the roof doesn't get better by itself. So 3 years later, we're facing more issues.
Correct.
So, you know, we say, Rehoboth is somewhat responsible for us being where we're at. It's disappointing, it's upsetting. It concerns parents, it concerns school committee, it concerns town officials. We say, it's been 3 years. You know, how many more years before someone just says, okay, we'll do it, but it's up to Rehoboth.
Right.
Plain and simple. It's up to Rehoboth to say, okay, we're going to step up to the plate, we're going to do our part of it, and then we'll move on.
I mean, I think the comments were made by Mrs. Cooper that, you know, if it passed Monday night, it really is not going to make any difference on when the repair could take place, as long as it gets approved in January. I think if it doesn't get approved in January, then I think the town has a responsibility, working with the school committee and the superintendent, to do something to force the issue.
Absolutely.
And I think the state would get involved, perhaps, I don't know, but I will make that commitment that if it doesn't pass by Rehoboth in January, then we'll be very proactive to get a resolution to it.
I second that commitment.
Because it's got to, I mean, well, we're here now.
Count on you, Mrs. Terry.
We will do that, because I'm concerned about the health of the kids. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
So, yes, Mr. Andre?
Yeah, Chris Andre, 1975 North Street. I appreciate what you said, and it's what the resident said. What are we going to do about it today? I would ask that you today consider sending a letter to the Rehoboth Board of Selectmen, urging them to support the project. I think that's one of the strongest things that you can do as your body. Certainly, the school committee is going to do what we have to do to get this back on the ballot soon, to get voted again. And also, I would ask that in your next joint meeting with them, that's one of the items of discussion.
Absolutely.
Because I know, you know, I just don't know that they're hearing from you that it's a real priority for Dighton. They're hearing from us and the committee and the district, but I think they hear from the town leaders as yourself that it's also a priority for you. So I would just ask you to consider that. Thank you.
That's a good idea. We will do that.
On the level 1345 William Street. My question is, Dr. Azar, if the school does have to be shut down because of safety issues, what happens to the students? I have a senior in there, and now I am very concerned for snow, for if something happens to my child, believe me. But, so what would happen? Would they have to go to, say, Somerset, Berkeley, or another choice school?
Basically, it would be case by case. I don't like to speculate on what ifs. However, what would happen under certain circumstances, you know, working with the building folks, you know, it would really be the Dighton folks telling us that we have to shut the building down. Well, it depends on how long. So if it was a one-day deal, two-day deal, it would basically mean that the kids would just stay in place at home or wherever they go for those 2 days. Could be 3 days while we're trying to figure out if they can get back into the building. If it gets longer than that, we have contingency plans that the kids would be dispersed to Dighton and Rehoboth campuses. So they would go to the, you know, if they're Rehoboth students, they would most likely go to Beckwith. And if you recall, prior to me coming on board, there was a series of bomb scares over and over and over. And what happened, the Dighton kids went to Dighton Middle School, and the Rehoboth kids went to Beckwith, until there was an all clear. It was very disruptive. There's nothing good that comes out of anything like that. So it would be really case by case, and depending on a catastrophic situation, that's something that we'd have to work with our school committee on coming up with a more long-range plan.
And that's
for
what
our
I'm
kids.
afraid of. 2014, we had, what, almost 4 feet of snow accumulated? It's a flat roof, it's an old roof, it's a leaking roof.
We shoveled the roof.
I remember.
We did.
But that's because my oldest was a freshman at the time.
Actually, right, we did close a wing down structurally, and then the other piece, we spent almost $100,000 on snow removal of our roofs. So we get it, I mean, we lived it. It's problematic, there's no question about it. No one can really predict what will happen in the future. However, there are contingency plans, but if it's more catastrophic, that's something that I would have to have a conversation with and a discussion with our school committee about what our next steps would be.
I think what bothers me the most as a parent is, does this person have a heart? Do they not get the safety and well-being of the students and the faculty in this building? You know, I don't care what kind of hidden agenda you want to put behind it. These are our youth. These are people that, that are there to teach. It's just, I don't know.
It's very problematic.
I don't know. It's very frustrating. It's frustrating. And not only that, yeah, Lexi's going to be done in May. And I have a while before the little guy is on his way up there. But still, I have family, I have friends, I have kids that my kids have played with along the years in sports and whatever. That's our community that's under there. Why wouldn't you want to do that?
I think a couple things I want to say. Number one is the Rehoboth parents need to mobilize and, put some pressure on their elected
It's a big
officials.
smoke show on the Rehoboth side, because I've talked to a couple of the Rehoboth parents, because my daughter does play on the DR, quite a few of the sports teams. And I think it's a big smoke show on the other side that the Rehoboth parents they're not seeing it all.
Yeah, maybe not.
And you can only say so much. And they're only getting we're coming to you because we wanted information. I came tonight because I knew you were gonna be here and I highly respect your knowledge. So I wanted to come and hear what you had to say. That was my biggest thing. But how do you get this across to them? Because a parent like me, it's going to be like Hearsay. It's going to be like Facebook.
Yeah.
Everything just revolves one thing into another.
Right.
So how do you get that knowledge out?
Yeah,
What are we going to tell them? Come to the Dighton town meeting?
The other thing I want to say, though, I mean, everybody's.
We need people to vote.
Is it allowed? Can Rehoboth come to the Dighton town meeting?
They don't get to vote, though.
I think the other thing I want to say, though, is as far as the safety of the kids there, I've all the confidence in the world between our superintendent, our building commissioner, our fire department, that they are not going to jeopardize the safety of the kids in the school. If there's an issue, they'll be on top of it, and if it takes shutting it down, they'll shut it down. So
Well, it's okay. I'll keep her home.
I know, but I just want to reassure everybody that I think you can be confident that the safety of the kids is going to take priority, and these guys will make sure that that's the case.
Oh, and I do.
In
That's why I was
Dighton.
here.
I just wanted to make one closing comment. I know one thing that bothers me, you'll see people make comments and they fault the town of Rehoboth. And it's really not, I said it earlier and I'll say it again. The majority of that board of selectmen does not support the schools. They hate the school, they hate the school district. The finance committee is the same mentality. It's probably 15 people that run that town. Parents are too busy working. They can't come out to meetings. Like Ron said, no one really knows what's going on. And the thing is, we can't fault the parents. You go to town meeting, just like if you guys got up, this is someone on the finance committee, make a motion. The residents rely on you guys, and we support you. They may not know any better. The point is, we can't blame the town of Rehoboth. We need to try working together, as you said. It's something, we need to move forward. From a budget perspective, it's going to be, people say parents don't get involved. You look at what happened 4 years ago when they got the budget handed to them on a platter and they weren't happy. That's probably coming again this year, and sad as it is, I've been looking forward to that because they keep refusing to do an override. And as a parent in Dighton, we keep cutting and cutting and cutting, and they claim they don't have money, but they got 2 new shiny fire trucks within the last 3 years. So,
But again,
it's priorities.
Parents need to just understand it's not the whole town of Rehoboth, it's their leaders that don't want to help us.
And I think, preaching to the choir, but I said it this is our town, that's their town. If they don't want to participate, then they get what they get. I mean, it's unfortunate, but somehow people need to mobilize and get interested and realize that they have a say. If you don't like the officials in the town, then you vote them out. If you want to change the vote at town meeting, then you got to go to the town meeting and vote. And every town has the same problem, but people need to get involved, and that's where the problem is. So, but
What can I do as a parent to get the word out to the parents of Rehoboth? I mean,
you only can talk to the other parents and that's all you can do. I mean, but anyway, good.
Rachel Coffey, 234 Lincoln Ave. I just had one final question regarding the testing. You said the air quality in the mold is tested. Can you tell me who tests it, when the last test was, and where we can see the results of those tests?
I wasn't prepared to bring anything with me this evening. Out of the goodness of Jack's eye, he invited me. But if you want to reach out to my business manager, Catherine Antonellis, we can look at that and see where it lies. Jim is the go-to person, the Board of Health. That's who we constantly deal with as far as the quality of the air, or if there's any issues. Typically, if an issue comes to play, like it did at Palmer River, we test as much as we can to see exactly where the pinpoint is. A lot of times you can test just by the smell, and very seldom do we have any smells or anything like that. So, it's a really catch-22 situation as far as how much testing we do, what the results are, and therefore, usually if Jim has, or the Board of Health have a concern, and we have a concern, we bring it to the light. That's kind of what we did on the Rehoboth side. So that's really the different types of testing that we do. I can check, the best I can do is check back with our facilities manager to see, if there's any rooms that should be tested. Right now, there's no trace of mold that we've been able to detect in the high school.
How would you, aside from visually seeing the mold and smelling it, you've had years and years of water leaking in there. It seems like it should be a test rather than locating and smelling.
Defer to the experts, to tell you the truth. I'm an educator, so, I mean, we have experts that
They patch the roof when it's leaking.
right,
No,
we've done a lot of
I just
it.
wondered, are there tests, when were they, and what were the results?
Why don't we do that? What I'd like to do is, why don't we get with Jim and Dr. Azar and see if we can get that information and bring it back to you at one of our selectmen meetings in the future.
Like to say.
I will. Okay. I just want to say a couple of things. First, I want to thank everybody for being here, because it reassures me that what I do out there is worth it, because I take this job seriously. But I can tell you there's a network behind the scenes that you don't even know exists. I've been waking out of bed at night, I've been at the school on the weekends, while everybody else was doing something else, addressing concerns. There's been leaks on electrical, which you brought up. Electrical inspector's been brought out. There's mediation methods that have been done. So all this stuff is looked at seriously, so it doesn't go unnoticed. I spoke with David Nappi today. Him and I have to have a discussion when he returns from vacation. And as the chairman said, we'll chase down the air quality and we'll questions and we'll work unilaterally on it. Okay? Thanks. Yep.
Mr. Chairman, are you accepting motions?
Always.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we write a letter to the Rehoboth Board of Selectmen and the Rehoboth Finance Committee, urging them to support the roof.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We'll do that.
I just want to say, you don't have to have children in the school system to be concerned about the
Absolutely.
situation. As Tom said, I was in the first class, so needless to say, our son, long time out of DR. But I look at it, not even as a selectman, I look at it as a resident and a taxpayer in the town of Dighton. I literally, along with all of you and everyone that's watching this, have millions of dollars tied up in real estate at the regional high school.
Sure.
Nobody wants to see that kind of an investment not being maintained, falling into disrepair, not making common sense repairs, replacements, or anything else. So all of the concerns about children and health, absolutely priority. But again, if you don't have children in the school, you're still paying taxes on that investment that you've been paying on since day one. And as a result of that, we all get frustrated and we all expect that we're gonna get some positive results. And I hope with the letter that we are going to prepare and send, that we can get through and it can get on another town meeting warrant, and it can get on a debt exclusion ballot so that the thing can get resolved. The only solution is replace it. Wasting times, tabling things, oh, we're gonna study it more. Studying
What's
brings
there
you
to
nothing
study?
more except more damage, more
Correct.
grief, and more cost. It doesn't solve anything.
Amen.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah, we all agree with that, for sure. Okay.
But what
any-
I just wanted to add, I believe it was either Mr. Jefferson or Mr. Andrade who suggested the letter. I appreciate that. I think we should put Rehoboth on notice that we're not gonna let this go. It's gonna be at the forefront every single time they have a meeting, okay? So I appreciate that.
Okay. If nothing else, then I think we'll move on. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you so much. Appreciate it very much.
All right. I get a nice score over the
Yeah, you got it, brother.
I want to thank everybody for coming also.
Get in the roof.
Good night, Mr. Bernardo.
Clears out fast.
Yeah.
Maybe we can invite you to we'll invite you to a town meeting so we can get this kind of attendance.
Thank you, Kevin.
Okay, let us move on with the business. Yeah?
so we finished, we're on the fire chief's contract, right?
That's what we need to vote on
Fire
next.
chief's contract.
Yep.
We just need to sign it. We've already approved it.
Oh, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
the next order of business is to sign the fire chief's contract. We've reviewed this. We reviewed it. It went to town council for review. The fire chief, Chris Mcgee, came in today and signed it, read it and signed it, so it's ready for our signature.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we ratify and sign the contract with the new fire chief, Christopher Mcgee.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Let's sign that. There's two copies, yes, we have two
Okay.
originals, one panel. Okay, what else we got? We have an announcement.
From the town clerk's
Yeah, what's
office. Thank you, Mr. Commissioner.
We have an announcement from the town clerk. Town clerk's office announcement.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is just an announcement from Sue Medeiros, our town clerk, to the Board of Selectmen. Please be advised that the town clerk office will be open on Wednesday, November 22nd, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Secretary of State's office mandates that all city and town clerk offices be open on that date for acceptance of initiative petitions for the state election of 2018. The clerk's office will also be available for any town business and residents may need on that date. If Pam Waller and I can be of any assistance on that day, please don't hesitate to let us know. That we're generally closed the day before Thanksgiving, as negotiated in the collective bargaining agreement with the clerical union. So,
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
and then we have another from Carol Beauregard, Mary Hathaway, and Sue Medeiros. And it reads to the Board of Selectmen, be advised that the assessors, clerks, and treasurers collector office will not be meeting the evening of November 22nd, 2017. We would appreciate that this information be forwarded to the residents of at your selectmen meeting. So we are forwarding that, the assessors, clerks, Treasurer's office will not be open on November 22nd. And while I'm on the topic of November 22nd, we will not have our regular selectmen meetings that evening either, so.
So town hall will be closed
Yes.
on the evening of November 22nd?
Correct.
All departments?
All departments, right? Okay, good. We've got a correspondence from Greenstreet Solar Power.
Thank you.
Wanna read it?
Sure.
I mean, we can-
This is from Mr. David Kane of Greenstreet Solar Power. It's addressed to the Board of Selectmen dated Tuesday, October 31st. Dear Board of Selectmen, my name is Dave Kane and I work with Greenstreet Solar Power. We develop solar systems for commercial and municipal customers throughout the Northeast, and we're particularly active in Massachusetts, where we recently completed the largest solar system on a rooftop in the Commonwealth and New England. That system is powering 75% of the Attleboro school system, saving them more than $5 million over 25 years. One of our areas of focus and expertise is developing solar on capped landfills, and I was reaching out to inquire about the status of the Tremont Street landfill, which appears to be an excellent site for a solar project. A landfill solar project would generate income for Dighton in the form of lease revenue and through payments over time according to a pilot, payment in lieu of taxes, agreement, which we typically negotiate with our municipal partners. I'd welcome the opportunity to discuss further either in person or over the phone. Please let me know when would be a good time. Thank you. You'll find a case study on the Attleboro project I referenced attached. David Kane, CSO and Director of Community Solar, Greenstreet Solar Power.
So I think it would be, I don't know, I
Are we,
don't know
yeah,
the
do we
history.
want as a board to meet with Mr. Kane?
Yeah, if we
Selectman
want
Goulart?
to meet, yeah, I think we should meet with them, see what they have to say.
Yeah, we should at least meet with them. I mean, no.
We've only had one other company come in,
Mm-hmm.
and it was in response to advertising twice. This one company responded twice. They came in and made a presentation. We asked a lot of questions, especially about potential damage to the liner. They never came back.
Okay. So why don't we reach out to him and,
Invite them to a future meeting?
yeah, why don't I give him a call? And-
So you mean like a selectmen's meeting, they can give a presentation? We can ask questions?
That's what the other company did.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm fine with that. That's
So
perfect.
we'll reach out to him and ask him to come to one of our meetings and give us a little presentation.
The other company wasn't looking for a pilot agreement on, because it's town-owned land. I mean, it's not taxable land anyhow, so they would be looking for a pilot agreement on
For the real
the,
estate tax?
for the
Property
personal
tax.
property
Right,
tax,
right.
so.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
can I make one suggestion, please?
Mm-hmm.
You could have that company talk to Thomas Ferry, all the way down,
Oh, yeah.
because there is a problem with the membrane on the
I know.
landfill, and the ballasted type system that they use for solar panels, and maybe why the last company never responded. So although we would love to see it, there may be a concern with the actual installation.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk to him.
Yeah, okay. I don't want to waste anybody's time.
I think you were on the board. Do you remember that? There was a solar company that wanted to put something on our landfill up on Tremont Street. It's been quite a while that they came in, and we had a lot of
I thought that was
questions.
a dead issue.
Well, this is a new
Different
company
company.
asking.
Oh, okay.
They're asking, but that company that was years ago,
A few, yeah.
So I'll talk to Tom and we'll get a hold of this company and see what they have to say.
Tom was leery of anything on top of that.
oh, yeah,
I
we
think
were
we at least
too.
ought to listen to what they
But-
have to say, maybe some technology around it, who knows?
They put it on a pier type thing. That, how much cover we got on that, 2 feet?
Yeah, the ballasted system, I know there was some discussion that it may affect the effectiveness of the membrane, which would be a problem with DEP. So there was talk about putting more on the perimeter, but then there would be enough solar panels to justify the project. So,
At least
although I
we-
think it's a great idea, we just need to,
At least we can talk to them.
yeah.
I think they probably,
Yeah, that's all.
Because I'm sure.
probably less weight these days,
Right.
too. They,
The other thing was, I just thought of it, the slope of that landfill because we don't want them seen from the road, they would have to be over the hill and on the south side. And there was a concern about how many they could actually install out of sight.
If we don't get the solar, we can make a soccer field.
Make a great soccer field.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we'll just look into that.
Yep.
Okay, we've got something from the Bristol County Mosquito Control.
And then we also have an explanation.
Sure. Yep. We do have a public notice from the Bristol County Mosquito Control regarding Broad Cove. It is a legal notice. Public notice, oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong, no, I'm reading the right thing. Public notice of application for 401 water quality certification. The Bristol County Mosquito Control Project, 38R Forestry, Attleboro, Massachusetts, is planning a salt marsh restoration / mosquito habitat reduction project at Broad Cove Marsh on County Street in Dighton, Massachusetts. Additional information may be obtained from the BCMCP Wetlands Coordinator, that's Bristol County Mosquito Control Project. The public comment period ends November 17th, 2017. Address any comments to Gregory DeCesare, Mass DEP, Southeast Regional Office, 20 Riverside Drive, Lakeville, Massachusetts. Any 10 persons of the Commonwealth, any aggrieved person, or any governmental body or private organization with a mandate to protect the environment that has submitted written comments may also appeal the department's certification, and failure to submit comments before the end of the public comment period may result in the waiver of any right to an adjudicatory hearing. And I'll just read Mr. Charles Mello of the Conservation Committee, his explanation dated November 7th, 2017, addressed to Ms. Brady. Karen, thank you for sending the legal ad. Mosquito control clears the drainage ditches in the marshes of Broad Cove periodically. The 401 water quality permit they need from the Army Corps of Engineers requires them to advertise the permit request prior to the hearing. Their permit must have expired, and they are now in the renewal process. After the permit is granted, and before the restoration begins, the town of Dighton will be notified. I think they notify the Board of Selectmen. They also notify the Conservation Commission.
Very good. Thanks, Mr. Mello.
Very much,
Thank you.
Mr. Mello. Layman's terms.
Right. Okay. We got any reports?
I attended the Mass Municipal regular monthly meeting today, and the main topic was a presentation by Representative Randy Hunt. He's the representative who has filed the legislation to have NIPS, or they call them miniatures, the nip bottles that you see in the liquor store, well, liquor stores, the ones you see in the gutter and everywhere else,
Side of the
once
road.
they're consumed. The legislation, if passed, would put a 5-cent deposit on each one of those
Nice.
bottles.
That's fantastic.
They expect that the deposits could raise as much as $40 million.
Wow.
And that $40 million, much of it they expect to go back into the economy because there will be an incentive, if not for the people who consume and toss those, for the people who will go around and pick them up, because there are so many that you wouldn't have to,
Yeah.
like in the previous days when the kids had bottle drives and things like that. So,
Come down to Wheeler Street, you'll make a fortune.
Tremont Street.
and then Lincoln Avenue, all the way
They're
along the
everywhere,
river.
so.
So anyhow, he explained the legislation and explained where it is going through the process. We had a legislative update on the MS4 permit, that's stormwater. The legislature still has not designated the DEP as having primacy on the NPDES program. It's still EPA, so we're still one of 3 states that the EPA has that. 2 ballot questions, there's a slew of them, but there are 2 ballot questions that Mass Municipal has weighed in on. One is the fair share amendment to the Constitution. The MMA has sent a letter in support of a 4% surtax on income, private income, of more than $1 million, with the money collected to go to cities and towns, so that cities and towns would equally share in this, not like some of these grant programs that your chances of getting anything are minimal. They're talking about state aid, so it would be Chapter 70, unrestricted state aid, Chapter 90, because they talked about roads. So MMA sent a letter supporting that. MMA sent a letter in opposition to a ballot question that would further reduce the sales tax down to 5%. That bill is, in addition to reducing the tax back to 5%, which it was years ago, that bill also requires a mandatory tax-free weekend. Well, we know this past August, we didn't have one because collections are low, so anyhow, MMA has opposed that one. And then the other thing that was discussed was the Senate Bill 2196, an act providing for the establishment of a comprehensive adaptation management plan in response to climate change. And this is directly related to the Executive Order 569 and the recent statement from Governor Baker that said that Massachusetts will meet and live up to the agreement, the Paris Agreement on climate warming and all of that. So,
That's great.
Fantastic.
so that was pretty much the gist of all the discussion. It was very interesting.
See, Massachusetts will move forward with
Yep.
environmental issues.
Good
That's
work,
great.
Governor Baker.
I think there are 11 other states so far that have said the same thing. We're on board, even if the government at the federal level isn't, so.
Thank you, Selectman Goulart.
Okay, we have acknowledgements? Okay, we guess we skipped over announcements, so why don't we do those real quick? Well, I might just go for it.
I'll take the first couple. Trash bags, sharps disposal containers, and recycling stickers are all for sale at the Board of Selectmen's office. Please call 508-669-6431 for more information. I would also like to mention what former Selectman Pyers had mentioned before. I guess the 2018 transfer station stickers will begin being on sale this Saturday. There are vacancies on the Historical Commission, Land Use Committee, and Capital Outlay Committee. Also, we still have vacancies for the School Building Study Committee. We had a vibrant discussion on the schools tonight, so please send in your applications for those committees. The town is asking for your volunteerism on that. There will be a free Veterans Day breakfast held on November 11th, 2017 at Father's House Family Church, 207 Main Street, Dighton, Massachusetts at 9 a.m. This event is sponsored by the Dighton Lions Club. If you need transportation, please call Donald Hershey, Town of Dighton's veteran agent, at 508-669-4524. A dedication ceremony for the Frank Costa Memorial Park will take place on November 11th at 11:30 a.m. at the park located on the Dighton side of the Dighton-Berkeley Bridge. There will be light refreshments immediately following. Selectman
You wanna
Goulart.
do
The
something?
groundbreaking ceremony for the new Dighton Police Station Communications Center will be held on November 21st at 9 a.m. There is currently a job opening posted for a full-time clerk in the assessor's office. Anyone interested in this should get in touch with the assessor's office. The Lions Food Bank distribution will take place on November 18th from 8 a.m. to 9:30. This is about a week early because they do it ahead of the Thanksgiving holiday. If you need fuel assistance this winter, contact Citizens for Citizens located at 1 Taunton Green, telephone 508-823-6346. The Lights On celebration will be held Saturday, November 25th, 2017, at the Dighton Town Hall, beginning at 3:30, and it will run till approximately 5:30 p.m. And I just want to mention, St. Vincent de Paul Society is again preparing Thanksgiving baskets, complete meals in a basket, including the turkey. If you are in need of assistance, just get in touch with St. Vincent de Paul by calling the parish office at St. Nicholas, 508-822-1425, and ask them if they are able to help you. You don't have to be a member of the church to participate. You don't have to be Catholic. They just do this as a charitable endeavor at Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Also want to mention along that same line, the Dighton Community Food Bank that is run by the Lions Club. They have some dates, we'll get them for next week. They'll have a toy distribution date. They'll also have, as we get closer to Christmas, turkeys and that kind of stuff, so.
I did get that email, Mr. Chairman. I'll make sure to put that on social media and the website. I do want to also mention, I do have here the Dighton Lights On schedule for 2017. I will also make sure that this is posted online as well for everyone. We do have a copy in the Board of Selectmen's office as well. Thank you.
One other announcement, you know that we accepted the resignation of Heidi Bachdown, the office manager in the planning department. So if anybody is interested in that position, I would suggest you stop by and just talk to Heidi and get a sense of what it's all about. We'll get a formal posting out here very shortly, but so I just want to make anybody aware if you know anybody who's interested. Okay.
The salary for that is covered by the collective bargaining agreement, and it is a benefited position. So, as Mr. Taylor said, if you're looking for work or would like to come to work for the town, please check into it.
Are we approving any minutes? Good. About the warrants.
Mr. Chairman, I move that warrant 19A-18 in the amount of $89,113.96 payroll. Warrant 19B-18 in the amount of $40,561.97. Warrant 19C-18 in the amount of $192,010.51. Warrant 19D-18 in the amount of $2,295,985.25. That's the TR assessment. And warrant 19E-18 in the amount of $1,138,174.19. That's got to be DR too. All dated, those are all accounts payable, the last four, all dated November 18th. Be approved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Great.
Another example of Dighton paying their bills. Good job, everyone.
Okay, at this point, I would entertain a motion to go in executive session under Massachusetts General Law 30A, Section 21A, 3, for the purpose of discussing litigation settlement options that we have.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Before you call the vote, you have to announce that whether or not we're
Yeah,
going to return to open session.
We will not return to open session. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank
Aye.
you.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, Cable, we're going into executive session, so
Good night, everybody. Have a
Good
good
night.
weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.